once we saw how much more comfortable and utilitarian it is when you design a house specifically for how you want to live in it, I think at this point I'm not sure I could imagine kind of buying an off-the-rack house.
In our architectural practice over the years, we've been really fortunate to have been able to collaborate with a whole series of just wonderful clients who've come to us looking for unique and custom tailored design solutions that focus on the story of how they want to live the best version of their life and also really create a sense of place within each individual project. Today we're out in Ledbetter, Texas, which is a small town between Brenham and Giddings on your way to Austin, where the topography is decidedly horizontal, but has this nice mix of rolling prairie hills that are gentle in nature, and also a nice blend of dense treescape, depending on where you are out in Washington County.
In the course of searching for architects, we found some of your work online, and we're able to do some more research and figure out that, yeah, we thought you, with your small house background, you would be able to bring forth what we were kind of looking for. And that I really wanted a place that was kind of describing what I was looking for, and trees and water. And
so, how did you know this was going to be the place?
the smile on his face when he stood out on that dock and looked at the pond. I had specific criteria for what I wanted, and that was a relatively square piece of property, so that there was distance between us and the neighbors. It needed to be wooded, and it needed to have a water feature. And so the year that we looked at this property, the pond had just refilled from the drought, and so it was pristine and clear, and it had this great big huge lily pad ring around it, and he was out there on the docks, and he was the skeptical one in this.
And driving up and seeing the site, and I had this whole impression of kind of the largeness of the sky, but the immediateness of the environment. It sort of has that nice sort of dichotomy to it. Like you really feel intimate but connected to a larger whole at the same time.
I think you described the design of the house during the design process as a picture frame, and that it would frame in the sky and the pond, so that and that was always important. In both our houses, one of the requirements was the indoors and the indoor-outdoor barrier needed to be non-existent, right? It needed to be, so we have lots of windows in Houston, we have lots of windows here, so that we are always outside, even when we're air-conditioned.
I think like sunrises, particularly like from like the bedroom, the window, the bed and the windows from the bed kind of face the pond. So again, we get that nice picture, and particularly when it's a nice kind of colorful pink or orange sunrise. It's really nice. The same thing for sunsets. Particularly when we have friends out and we're out here late at night, kind of the stars that again are kind of like slightly framed here with the roof. The hummingbirds that are buzzing all around right now. I think there are just lots of different times that are very unique and kind of evolve and change what you see. So it's not, it never feels like you're kind of looking at the same thing all the time.
We laid out how we thought we would use the house, down to mock utility room sizes, and kitchen layouts, that sort of thing, so that when we actually got to the design part, we were able to bring, you know, the use piece of it, and you know, let the architects kind of do the form versus function kind of thing.
The art that we're drawn to here, the shapes tend to be much more organic. The colors tend to be much more kind of subdued and naturalistic sorts of colors that you would kind of, again, more see in the surrounding.
I think one of the things with collecting art is, you know, is there is a certain degree of curating that goes into it, but not in the sense of matching the house or the furniture.
The things like the dog trot, the unusual materials with the cedar and the Corten steel and the steel frame building and the you know, kind of somewhat traditional metal roof, of how these things that are again somewhat traditional materials are employed in a way that looks modern, but at the same time referencing more traditional methods for a country home or materials.
Yeah, I think, you know, the houses were really, with the cedar on them, when the cedar was new, the houses were really bright. And they're totally muted now, in the woods. And of course, things have grown in a little bit more as well, but.
Kind of from the beginning, when we were talking with Mark and Ann, we were envisioning a guest house that was separate so that guests could have their own space when they came to visit, and also equally importantly that we still could maintain like a bit of privacy and having our own time as well, even when we had people up. So I think that that's really kind of what drove the arrangement of the buildings and the living spaces and the transitions from one to another, is being sure that they were both kind of interconnected yet separate.
And so we have, I think there are 13 goats at the moment, 2 males and a bunch of females running around. A few of them are pregnant at the moment. We have a donkey, we have 2 dogs, 2 Great Pyrenees, we have bees, we have 2 cows, and the cows have been bred, so they're due in January. Longhorns. And in fact, they've been hollering because I haven't fed them yet this morning, so they're a little boisterous. Come on, girl. So the one on the left is Miss Mona, and on the right is Miss Kitty. Miss Kitty from Gunsmoke and Miss Mona from Best Little Whorehouse. And this is Sadie. She gets a treat every morning. Come on, girl, take that thing. And you know, you talked about the garden. I mean, the garden, you know, is 100 feet long and 30 feet wide. So, you know, it's full days of redoing. It all keeps us busy. We've built shelters for the animals, and you know, there's constantly something out here. So the rule with tractors is, if you think this one is big enough, get the next size, because it's not going to be. And everybody I've ever talked to has said that after the fact. You know, I didn't hear that before I bought my first tractor. I couldn't lift a bale of hay with the first tractor, but I didn't envision lifting a bale of hay.
I think one of the things I really enjoy is the uniqueness of it, like having my house really be my house and not, you know, 10 or 50 other people's houses, that it's kind of unique to me in a number of ways, like the way it looks, the finishes, how, you know, we're able to kind of live in the house, they're all unique. I think, you know, particularly here, you know, having the unique materials is just really very enjoyable. different things like, you know, the dog trot here, like, you know, have relatives up and we can all have Thanksgiving out here in the dog trot or other so it just, all sorts of things like that that are really functional and make like living and entertaining like a pleasure.
Yeah, I think that's the right word, pleasure. I was just thinking that pleasure is coming home is always a pleasure. And that's true for both houses, but you know, here, you know, in Houston, we put in a pool and we put in a lot of shrubbery and we created our own private little oasis in the city. But here we have this great big oasis that was already here for us.